Esposito here with Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. Again, today is a very special day. This is our 8th annual leadership conference, and we did something a little different for the 20-year mark. And what we've done is we've come out here to the Marriott Marquis Hotel in beautiful downtown San Diego. I'm looking out on the harbor. It looks amazing. And I am here with a very, very special individual. This is our CEO. This is where the buck stops here, as they say. This is Mr. Paul Rozo. He is the president and founder of Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. Paul, it's great to have you.
Awesome to be here, buddy.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just going to kind of get into this, and we can just kind of fire this conversation up casually here. So
I'm coming in blind.
I know you are. So this particular event does kind of earmark 20 years for PRMG, Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. And it's also our annual leadership conference. Paul, can you share with us what that 20-year mark means to you and sort of your ideology behind it and philosophy behind that?
Well, first of all, it represents consistency, it represents longevity, but you know, I know you're the marketing guy, Paul, and I know you see this as an incredible opportunity, being here for 20 years, but you know, a lot of the talk out there at the conference has been, you know, what are we going to do to celebrate the 20 years of PRMG, which our birthday is officially this week. And, you know, I said we're going to do nothing. And it kind of took people back. And I know that you and I have had much dialogue in the office. Yes, we do go into the office at PRMG. But you and I had a lot of dialogue regarding, you know, what are we going to do special, especially at this conference where we bring in all our leaders.
Correct.
And my answer was nothing because, again, 20 is special as a number, but we're not a human being. This is a company, and this company is comprised of many human beings. And there's many things to celebrate, Paul, like milestones, you know, how many people we employ and take care of, you know, volume numbers that we, you know, milestones that we've hit over time.
Correct.
But from a birthday perspective, we were supposed to be here.
Right.
And, you know, when we set out 20 years ago in the midst of what was happening with 9/11, you know, the thought wasn't, you know, geez, where will we be in 5 years? Where will we be in 20 years? We knew we were going to be here. That was part of the vision. So, you know, and I don't say that to be arrogant or cocky. I say that just because I don't believe a birthday for a company is anything to celebrate. We were expected to be here. People rely on us. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's
so.
really...
I don't want to take, especially coming from my chief marketing officer. Take your thunder away from this as a great opportunity. But
yeah,
you know, I have asked respectfully that we kind of tone that dialogue, especially in light of 9/11 and 20 years later. You know, it's bittersweet, and so here we are today.
Yeah.
I think we need to have perspective, and standing up singing happy birthday at a leadership conference to PRMG just doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah, and you know, you bring up a really good point, and the way I looked at it was from this perspective. I think that the tonality, if I could use that as a word, was to kind of honoring the different events that occurred. We had a lot of moments over the course of the years. In fact, I remembered, like, even in 2016, there were more things on the timeline that popped up that we did. But I'm gonna switch a little bit here on you, and there's something that you always say, and I find myself using it now. We, as a company, in particular, from 2019 to where we are now, 2020 being that moment where we had to navigate some uncharted waters. You use a phrase all the time, a term of phrase that says, a rising tide lifts all boats. I believe that is the correct way to say it. A rising tide lifts all boats. And I would agree with you that many other companies did, you know, do well as a result of the tide. But would it be fair to say how we navigated that tide, how we stayed afloat during that tide, speaks volumes to the leadership at PRMG and to the team of people that you've employed over the years to help get us through it. I mean, now we're starting to feel some sense of recovery to some degree, but we learned something too through the 2020. You know, we were all living in a virtual space, for crying out loud.
Well, I mean, gosh,
I'm curious what your thoughts might be on that.
I agree, and and that all high tide raises all boats
High tide
is
raises all-
really a self-deprecating metaphor, because what I'm trying to say is to my leadership team is
Yeah.
don't think that we're that special.
That's my point.
You know,
Yes.
I mean, ultimately, yes, we attained some phenomenal growth, but for that matter, so did the entire industry. So let's keep proper perspective, and I think that's my job as a CEO
Yeah.
within the leaders to make sure that, you know, their head still fits in the doorway as they come into the office.
You do a great job of that too, Paul. You are very good about
Thank
that, and you always keep it in perspective.
But I mean,
would
I
say.
think ultimately the biggest challenge we've had is, and I think we've done an incredible job of it because of what our culture, you talk about culture a lot, is, you know, making sure, and I speak because we are at a leadership conference, and that's why we're doing this, is that our leaders are rooted. And that is whether that's the corporate leadership that we've got, or our regional managers, our branch managers. You know, these people are truly rooted, and that, to me, is really how we've been able to navigate this different world that we've lived in. As you bring up 2020,
Sure.
I mean, the obstacles have been many, being in this business and having this company open for the past 20 years.
For sure.
And anyone that's been in this industry in my seat has experienced the same. So,
Correct.
but yeah, the pandemic did create some different challenges, and I think we rose. You know, we were part of one of the winners because of our culture, because we have leaders who are
Yes.
rooted, and you know, and then the next word that comes to mind is relationships.
Yes.
You know, we have great relationships with our leaders, and you know, this business, you know, the way we do business, the way we've reimagined how we do business, you know, the Zoom and all these other things, is cool. But the reality is nothing beats face-to-face interaction, because that's really the foundation of a solid relationship, of being rooted. And
Yeah.
and this, pivoting back to the leadership conference, that's why this was so important, and that's why I'm so excited that we made the commitment to do this, and seeing, you know, several hundred of our managers here flying from all over the country just
Yeah.
really touches me.
You know what? I love what I tell you. I took a photo. I was taking some photos myself this morning. I watched the line form to check in, and it really put me on my heels. I couldn't believe how many people did show. I think we had, again, I say this loosely, probably close to 160 people attend this event.
Well, staring out at the bay and the boats in the harbor, I'm sure helped
Yeah, right.
draw some of the people.
Yeah,
but,
it's beautiful, man.
yeah.
The view is great. But no, you touch on a lot of great things, and your points are very, very well taken. And I do agree with you. I think a big part of it is also how we've managed to navigate the space. I love the piece about being rooted. Our people are rooted. We also have, for, you know, the one thing that you'll hear even our senior VP of a National Director of Retail talk about is the stickiness factor
Yeah.
that PRMG has. And when you said
That's
rooted,
rooted.
it made me think of
Yeah.
that a little bit too. You know, we tend to really keep people for the long haul. I'm one of those people. I've been here myself for a little north, I can't believe it, 11 years. It's
Yep.
hard for me to believe.
Yep.
That's a little over half of PRMG's existence.
Yep.
And it's been a pleasure to be part of that, Paul. I have to
been
tell
my
you
honor, buddy. Thank
that,
you.
that you've kept me here for the distance a little bit, but no, it's great stuff, man.
What else you got, bud?
Well, I mean, I think that's it. I think the only other thing I was going to ask you, maybe, and I'll just throw this one out at you, because you were an originator at one time. I mean, built by originators for originators, and you're looking at it right. You're looking at them right here. Our branch managers that are attending, what do you think is important for them to get out of this? What do you think that is a major takeaway for them from their perspective, if you could put yourself in their shoes? That's kind of a tricky question. I know,
Yeah,
but-
you know, well, I think ultimately I've paraded, and excuse me for using that, it's more of a metaphorical reference, including you have gone out there. I think the thing that I want them to leave with is our commitment to their success.
Yeah.
And first day of this conference, leadership conference, is dedicated. It was a non-negotiable when we created this leadership conference seven years ago. It was a non-negotiable for me to make the first day essentially the senior executives, whether it be our chief marketing officer, whether it be our chief lending officer, our chief financial officer, our digital lending team, you know, everyone from the corporate office to be accountable to our number one client.
Yeah.
And our number one client is sitting in that room out there. It's the
100%.
leaders of this organization. If we keep them happy, they're going to keep their loan officers happy. If the loan officers are happy, then the realtors are happy and the referral partners are happy. And if the referral network is happy, then the clients are going to be happy in the end. And so I need them to leave here ultimately not pumped up full of BS. I need them to leave here confident that their careers, their futures are in a good hand in an evolving market. I mean, my gosh, look how much this market has changed. We keep using the words reimagined, ever since 2020.
Progress is not possible without
Is not-
change,
yeah.
right?
And so, this industry is constantly changing, and they need to know that we are committed to their success and committed to growing, and them leaving here with that confidence that their careers, they're trusting the right people and the right organization. That's paramount for them. I hate to use that
No,
word, but
I like that you
it's
use that
important.
word.
That to me is the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
That if each one of those people can leave knowing, for another year that their hands, they're in the right hands
100%.
of a senior executive team who's, well-rounded and looking at the industry as a whole and sharing, which is huge. I mean, you guys go out there and you share, you're held accountable to what you spoke last leadership conference. What did you accomplish? And what's also beautiful is you share about what your vision moving forward. What's
Yeah.
going to happen this year?
Yeah.
And you share that with them. So
Yeah.
there's an accountability to our
Yeah.
leaders out there, and hopefully by the time everyone's done, they walk away saying, you know what? I'm at the right place and I trust these people with my career.
Well, I have to tell you, right there, I think that is a perfect note to end on. I mean, that put a nice bow on top of it, Paul. I couldn't have said it better. I have to tell you that your leadership, both you, Robert, and both the two partners, Kevin and Gary, you guys have been leading this charge. You have a lot of people that do believe in you. And it does speak to your integrity and your loyalty to all the employees here at PRMG, including me.
Well,
so I really, really appreciate that, brother. I
It's an
really
honor
do,
and it's
sir.
a privilege. So
Right back
So
at
thank
you.
you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.